Hey there, it's me, Kathy. Today we're going to do something really fun, and it's going to be a little bit of a different format than I have been doing for a while, but I decided to try this out instead, and we're going to do live from my own kitchen. And today we're going to make, and this is really a fun idea that I had, we're going to make pork belly shepherd's pie. And I was at the farmer's market, and I bought a pork belly from the Purpose Driven Family farmers, and I knew that I wanted to do this with it. So I have all my vegetables prepped, all my, I went to another farmer's market on the way back, and I got a ginormous carrot and some ginormous potatoes. And so we're going to boil our potatoes while we're making our base. We're going to do the vegetables and the meat and the gravy. And while we're doing that, we're going to be doing our potatoes, and then we're going to mash them and top it. And we're going to make pork belly shepherd's pie. It's going to be fun. I have already cooked the pork belly in my Instant Pot, and so the meat is all cooked, but when I did that, I saved the fat from it, and we're going to use that to saute our vegetables in and create the base for our sauce. And we don't need a whole lot, but we don't need a whole little either. Probably the pork belly in itself is going to exude some fat when we make our dish, but we will deal with that as we go along. So we put the fat, too much fat, I'm taking some out. Kelly can have that for supper. She will love it. All right, so just scrape that off, and that'll be the perfect amount. You get out of there. Okay, so we're gonna melt this. And we're going to start with a mirepoix of celery, carrots, and onions. Those are referred to as aromatic vegetables, and I have them all prepped up here. We have our onions and our celery and our carrots. Sauteing up nicely. Oops, Alexa, pause the music. I could get in trouble for that. We got a little ways to go still, but they're working it up nice. While these vegetables are cooking, I've been thinking, because of the fatty nature, ordinarily I would, in order to make the sauce, I would coat these vegetables in flour, which I'm going to do. But I decided, because of the fatty nature of the pork belly, I'm going to put the meat in here and coat all of it with the flour as well. And that will absorb any of the extra fat from the pork belly. So I'm going to do that right now. Take this pork belly, and we're going to mix this in with the vegetables. This is basically like making shepherd's pie with bacon. Oh, and by the way, they call them aromatic vegetables for a reason. I am just dying smelling these things. You wish you had smell-o-vision, because it smells so good. All right, so we're just going to incorporate all of this and let that cook down just a little bit longer before we add our flour and our beautiful cooking liquid in the beautiful pitcher. And as you can see in the background, our potatoes are simmering. They are not quite close to done yet, but pretty soon. Our potatoes are done. I've drained them and put them into a bowl. And what I learned a long time ago was that the best way to make the creamiest mashed potatoes is to run them through a food mill. So what we're going to do first is put some butter in our pan. Probably a little more. Okay, and then we're going to grab our food mill and pop it over top of our pan. And we're going to spoon these potatoes into this food mill and run them through the blade. Unfortunately, we can't do it all at the same time. Now, I like to use, I didn't mention this before, but I like to use russet potatoes because I don't know if you can see here. Let's get this up there, but the russet potatoes have a nice dry texture, and that lets them absorb all of the, you know, delicious butter and cream and seasonings and stuff. So here we go, sending them through. Pushing them down as we go. In restaurants, you have a food mill that's about this big around. It goes over a big giant pot. And just, you can do a whole lot of potatoes in not much time. And just so you get a sneak peek of what comes out the other end, there you have it. You have the riced soft potatoes, and those are going to smush right up and, like I say, absorb all of your cream and butter and salt and pepper, and they'll be deliciously creamy. Okay, they're all passed through. Scrape off the bottom. And stir around. And pick up all the crud that fell on the stove. We're going to add some milk. Oh, so creamy. Great. Now we're going to season them with some salt. Salt knows. I don't know. The blades must be dull on it or something. It's not working as like it used to. Some pepper. And give that a stir, and then we're going to go back to our shepherd's pie. We've got topping made, our creamy potatoes. Move this guy back to the front, front to the back to the front. And what we want to do, your carrots take the longest to cook, so we want to make sure that those carrots are soft. I don't like to have fine, crunchy carrots in my shepherd's pie, so a knife inserted should slide in easily. If you can pin one down so you can poke it. Good, good. And let's see. Very nice. Okay, ready to go. So right now, we're going to add some flour. And I was correct to put the meat in this because a lot of fat did come out of that meat. And we're going to stir that flour in. We're going to need more. As you can see, it's still pretty juicy. We want this mixture to be pretty dry because we're going to add some broth. Well, it's actually the cooking liquid from the that I defatted when I cooked the pork belly in the Instant Pot. Now, in the Instant Pot, it was easy to do. You just sear the pork belly on both sides and then you put them in there. I say them because I had to cut my piece of pork belly in half because it was a big piece. And then pour enough liquid in there to cover it, just cover it. And then high pressure for 1 hour yields the perfect tender pork belly. And I decided a while back that I'm never going to cook pork belly or pork shoulder or any of those, you know, stew meat or any of those. That's always going to be cooked in my Instant Pot because it just does a perfect job. All right, we are getting there. I'm making a mess in my kitchen. Spilling flour all over the place. But Kelly's behind me, licking it up off the floor. All right, there we go. And now I have just a couple little more things I want to add in before we do our sauce. I want to make sure that you are on. I had some green beans from my garden in the freezer. Those are going in. And some corn that I cut off a couple of cobs. I don't think we need all of that, but I do like me some corn, so we'll put that in there. And wipe off my hands. And just stir that in. Colorful, vegetable-y, pork belly-y. A nice mixture. We're going to cook it for a few minutes to cook out the starchiness of the flour. So you're going to let that go for just a couple of minutes. Okay, our starchiness is all cooked out of that, and you can see it's thick and held together. And now comes our broth. I thought that was going to need more flavor, but I think it's just flavorful enough as it is. Now, shepherd's pie, you don't want a whole lot of juice. You want to just have enough juice to incorporate your ingredients. That way it's not sloppy when you serve it. You can actually pick it up with a spoon and keep it in squares under your potatoes. I'm having a lot of fun doing this together. This is the very first time I've ever done this with pork belly. And I do a lot of things for the first time lately. Things that I never tried, or because when you're cooking for the masses, you have to make sure that you're doing something that everybody's going to like. And as Harry Belafonte said, you've got to feed the masses, man. I've used that line over my career many times, but now it's just me. And actually, I feed my neighbors because I can't have all this food around, or I'd be about 400 pounds, or maybe even more than that. Okay, I think we're getting to a perfect consistency. And we're going to give it a little taste, make sure our seasonings are up to snuff. Oh my God, that's so good. If you make this, you're going to love it. I'm going to put in a little bit more juice. Kelly is waiting at my heels, getting ready. She wants to lick this pan. She can smell how delicious it is. Okay, we are ready. I'm going to turn the oven up to 350. And that will be see. I'm gonna put you back here and you over here. And I have a baking dish set up. I don't know if our potatoes are going to be spreadable enough. I might need a little more milk. Just a little, maybe. Not too much more. Oh, and there they go, all over the stove. Yeah, that's a better consistency. All right, we don't need you anymore. Let's get rid of you. And I left this burning on like a dum-dum. But luckily our baking dish is set on a sheet pan in case there's any spillover when it's baking in the oven. So here we go. Into the pan. Set this aside to cool for Miss Kelly. Spread it out. Nice and even. Lovely. And we're going to put the potatoes on in dollops so you can spread them evenly all over the surface of this shepherd's pie. I'm feeling like I want to use my fingers to do this. So I may put on a pair of gloves and do it. At least spread it around a little bit so we can. This is working out okay. Well, there we have a sticky piece. Sticky wicket. To stick. Almost done. Get on there. Okay. I probably should have used my fingers in the first place. I've always said that your best tools are your hands. And I should probably be wearing a glove, but I'm going to be eating this, so. And it's also going to be cooked, so if there's any germs from my fingers, they'll all cook out. Okay, so now if you want to get fancy with this, you can make little designs or something if you have a nice spatula or something. I'm just going to rinse my fingers off, be right back. Okay, let's see what we got to make it smooth. And then, like I say, if you want to get fancy, you can, we used to, at the foodies markets, we used to score it. Just go this way like this, and like this, and like this, and like this, and then over like this, and like this, and like this, and like this. And that'll be a nice little grid design when the potatoes come out of the oven in about, this is probably going to take about 25 to 30 minutes to cook completely. So in the oven it's going to go, and when it's baked, we'll see what we got. All right, so our pie is now out of the oven and it's bubbly on the edges. However, I like it a little browner. So I've turned up the oven to broil, and we're going to pop it back in for just a couple more minutes. It's out and it's beautiful. And we're going to serve it up on a plate in just a sec. But we can cut into it and see what it looks like inside. What would be a good tool to use for that? This, I think. All right, so we're going to do over in this corner so you can see better. But so we're gonna, those potatoes are stiff on top, so we're gonna just make a little dent, go around the edges, find a pretty plate. That's the wedding china, and I'm gonna scoop that out. Oh, it's staying together very nicely. And get the little rest of it. And now, there you have our lovely pork belly shepherd's pie, and let's give it a taste. I know it's hot out of the oven, I'll burn myself probably. Really good. And like I said, there's another picture of it. So we did it. We made pork belly shepherd's pie, and it came out lovely, and it came out delicious. And let's get I don't know if you can get a gander at the inside. I can bring you down closer so we can really check it out. And that's what it looks like inside. It has been really fun doing this with you. I will be posting this recipe. It's been really fun doing this with you. I'll be posting this recipe on the website, and I'll be putting it out on social media as I do. And Kelly, she loved her bowl. See, the tail goes waggy, waggy, wag. I loved the pan is what she really liked. Anyway, we'll see you again soon. And I think we're gonna do more videos like this. I had fun doing it. I liked it a lot. Thanks for joining me.